Thanks so much for tuning in to this mini episode of The Beacon. Today we are joined by Daniel Staffenberg, the CEO of the Jewish Community Federation here in Richmond, Virginia, a client and great community partner. It's a real pleasure to see you today, Daniel.
Hey, Kevin, thanks. It's nice to connect even virtually, and appreciate you asking me to join.
Yeah,
Dominion's a good
absolutely.
friend of ours, so this is fun.
Any opportunity that we have to spotlight the great work that our partners are doing in the community is something that I jump at, and I'm excited to learn a little bit more and to share that info, with our clients out there in the world. There may be members in our audience that aren't familiar with the Jewish Community Federation. Could you tell us a little bit about that? I know it's a wide network of organizations. So a little background and a little insight on the work that you're doing here in Central Virginia.
Sure, fantastic. So the Jewish Community Federation of Richmond was founded about 86 years ago now in an effort to build, sustain, and fundraise for the Jewish community, not only here in Greater Richmond, but worldwide. We've evolved to doing that, but also finding ways to connect and build community locally, not just for the Jewish community, by the way, in interfaith and interracial dialogue, building relationships between agencies as well as people of different faiths as well. So we've had 86 years of doing that. Our annual campaign raises about $3 million a year, about 85-90% of which goes out into the community to make impact.
In what ways have you had to sort of modify the way that you're operating? And is there anything that you think you'll sort of carry forward in a post-pandemic world?
For sure. Pivot and you're on mute are the two words of 2020-21.
There it is.
So there's a couple things I would say in response. One is when the pandemic hit, because our federation is built on sustaining and supporting a network of services that exist kind of 365 days a year. The beauty is, while it was stressful and not easy, we were able to pivot day one of closing down because we were there all of the days before that. So we in our role recognized that information gathering and sharing, convening and uniting the community as our ability to gather and have a glass of wine or coffee together was ripped away, which is a very central part of our Jewish community, was going to be important. At the same time, we were in the middle of recognizing that for many of our agencies and partners, this was going to be and is a financial challenge unlike they have ever seen before. And while the government's PPP loans and other infrastructure have been great, it is going to rely back on our community to support and sustain those. Within the first month of the pandemic, we had worked with JFS and others to make hundreds and hundreds of calls to seniors to check in, to find out what they might need, to make sure they're okay, and that's continued throughout. But our work, for the most part, has actually been around uniting and informing the community, both our agency partners, but also the individuals. So we've held COVID vaccine and COVID update calls with our agencies and the community. And recently, because we've had these relationships, we reached out to our wonderful partners in Enrico and Richmond Health and just said, tell us how we can help. And we've been able to mobilize hundreds of volunteers and even amplify. I know Dominion participated with us and we were able to kind of connect you to some volunteer opportunities. Going forward, it is clear that barriers to entry have got to be thought of differently. There is no such thing as a meeting where we can't Zoom somebody in now.
Right.
Whether homebound, whether they're unable to get away from the office that night or whatever. And then also a big pivot I anticipate coming, and we're just beginning to do some strategic thinking around this, is shifting a little bit to a model of how do we best connect those that are unconnected.
Yeah.
We know the people we know. We are blessed that we have generous contributors at all levels of the Jewish and many in many general communities. But how do we get those people who are searching for something and how do we connect them to it? And I think that is going to be a lot of that work.
I was reminded of one of my favorite phrases, that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. And it seems like a lot of your success is having this established and robust network, throughout the community, and being able to leverage that, over the last 12 months has really allowed the Jewish Community Federation to have a sustained impact.
It has, and Kevin, we focused our conversation about the Richmond piece, but we have partners in 70 countries around the world, and two big partners that work what we call overseas and in Israel. And we've learned from them as well throughout this, because they've been wonderful resources. But yes, you hit the nail on the head. The interesting part is, in philanthropy and community engagement, there was a move to more directed, not organization-wide, kind of unrestricted support. And I think we're going to see a trend back to some of that unrestricted support. Because yes, when everything is booming and everything is doing great, having a federation is still vital, but maybe not as clear as when the switch goes off, the alarm goes off, and we need something to coalesce and convene the community. None of this, let me be clear, was done alone. We are blessed with unbelievable partners at all of our agencies who play their individual roles in the symphony. So we're just trying to make sure that they're all coordinated, and often we just take the lead. We ask the question, we get an answer, and then we either go find a resource or figure out how we can amplify that message.
Well, I think that I speak for everybody at Dominion Payroll and so many people in our community when I just say thank you for the work that you all are doing. It's super valuable, and in a year like none other, organizations like yours are really the ones that are making a difference. How can folks connect with the Jewish Community Federation? How can they support?
Well, we're always happy to connect and support. Our website is jewishrichmond.org. We try to keep it pretty simple and straight. People can go on there. There's a community calendar of events. Most all of our events are open to anybody in the community that would like to participate. They can learn about our JCRC, our outreach initiatives, campaign, all kinds of things. And if they were so desire, there is a donate button on there that they could donate. But I want to thank you and Dominion Payroll. I've been working in this field for many, many years, more than I'd like to admit. And your partnership, your leadership, and just the willingness of Dominion Payroll to be a true partner to their businesses and their organizations is something I don't see everywhere. So I want to commend you and David and the entire team for that work, because it matters. It helps drive a culture of community, and that's important.
Well, it's critical to how we see ourselves in the world. And I appreciate the kind words. So thank you for that.
This was fun. It's always good to connect, and I look forward to the next time. Hopefully, Baruch Hashem, we say, may the Lord lead us that way in person.
Yes, a cup of coffee together would be a welcome respite after this year of social. Many thanks to my guest today, Daniel Staffenberg, the CEO of the Jewish Community Federation of Richmond. It's been a pleasure speaking with him and learning about all the great work that they do in our community and around the world. My name is Kevin Wilson, and this has been a special mini episode of The Beacon. Tune in every other Wednesday. Go to dominionpayroll.com to learn about upcoming webinar schedules and access all the resources you need to run your business. Thanks so much, and everybody have a great day.